and they're going off the fiscal cliff. No, the American people want higher taxes, higher taxes. No, we're going off the fiscal cliff. Tax the wealthy, tax the wealthy. No, tax the poor, tax the poor. Fiscal cliff, fiscal cliff, fiscal cliff, fiscal cliff. Tax the wealthy. But the American people want this. No, the American people want that. No, the American people want a fiscal cliff, a fiscal.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm playing politics. Want to play?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't.
Well, we're going off the fiscal cliff together.
Yeah.
See ya. Okay, I'm ready.
General Lee landed right side up.
Oh, he went off
what
the
do you call
fiscal
it?
cliff.
Oh, well.
Took the nosedive right off the
He's
fiscal
down there
cliff.
with all of us.
Playing politics, playing politics. Hey, what are we going to do today?
You're the guest host. You tell us.
Welcome to Andrew Richter's 151st program here on NWCT. Thank you, Richter, for your dedication and your service to our community.
Well,
and
you're
today
welcome.
we also have Jason Bradley, another community service member.
Yet again.
He runs the community solution groups, and if you haven't joined him yet on Facebook, you really should. Let's get ourselves educated here.
Well, we're talking today about the Green Step program, right? Green Step from which is just a little background on this. I accidentally stumbled upon this. Living in Crystal, and of course we all know how much the council and everybody just is in love with me. And
Well, you almost took their job.
Well, I went on their agenda for their December 4th meeting. Of course, they didn't post the agenda till the Saturday beforehand. And I wanted to look at their budget. It was their lie and truth and taxation hearing that's supposed to happen in the first week of December every year. By law, they have to do it. And one of the very last things on their agenda for that night was to consider joining what's called the Green Step program, which is something being pushed by the MPA, the Minnesota Pollution Agency. And I decided to do a little digging into exactly, I had never heard of it. And, I'm not somebody who only pays attention when, you're paving my street. But what I found was really daunting. What I found was something much bigger, much more all-encompassing than I ever even thought possible. Okay? Now, the Green Step program is not about changing out street signs and changing out light bulbs and the BS that your city officials will try to give to you. This is an all-encompassing thing to try to get your city to, quote, voluntarily change the way we live, the way we build, the way we travel. It encompasses building and lighting is part of it, a very small part of it. It encompasses transportation, economic development, land use, environmental management, you name it. And you'll see the same things in this that are pushed by the Met Council, the county, ICLEI, County Transit Improvement Board, state, MnDOT, you name it. Again, they've all got one brain, all pushing the same things on to us. Now, to get into this a little bit deeper, okay, let me give you one example of something that's in this. You and I, Jason, have talked about complete streets. I mean, how many times have we talked about that? Complete Streets is part of this, creating a network of multimodal green streets. Now, they call for road diets. What that is eliminating lanes, taking away lanes of travel, and connecting them. So it's basically an attempt, again, to get us out of our cars, get us to bike and walk, regardless of whether we want it, regardless of whether anybody is using what we already have. Again, that's just one example of another being pushed by yet another group pushing this stuff.
But yet they contradict their own selves because they want to get us out of our cars, but they'll send those little mini short buses called Metro Mobility buses to people's houses to pick them up. And you see one person in the
that's because we're paying for it.
Yeah, and we're paying for it.
Well, and that's a great example of one of the facets of this. And that's it. It's one of the facets. Let's back up a little bit maybe and explain a little more. The Green Step program not to be confused with the Red Step program or the Goose Step program, which are slightly related, but that's for another show. You mentioned it was put on by the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and it is a program that your city can voluntarily choose to be a part of. You can implement as much of it or as little of it as you wish, but admittedly, there is a significant amount of peer pressure to apply a large amount of this. And you cannot have your city considered a green step city until you've actually gone down the path of implementing a significant portion of this. In fact, it's broken up into 28 different best practices. Each best practice has 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, different
sample
tips.
ordinances.
Well,
too.
the tips in there, and you have to implement a certain number of tips from each best practice until you can be considered a green step city. And like you said, there are sample ordinances, and one of the tips in one of the best practices says that we should tie our city ordinances to the city redevelopment plan. And so that's where a lot of this is going to come from and go towards is that a lot of the things that they're going to enforce upon themselves and us will tie our hands to having to do things in a more expensive way. Because a lot of this environmental stuff that they come up with is a lot more expensive. I mean, try and buy an incandescent bulb versus, a CFL bulb
99 cents versus $15.
Yeah. The solutions that they have, the technology just isn't that good yet to where it can be cheap.
Well, and here's the thing. If it were cheap, we wouldn't need a government program to push it on us.
Right.
I mean, if it were cheap, that's the thing. We're still a country based on oil, coal, that kind of stuff, and here's why. It's still the easiest and cheapest thing to get. It's the easiest thing to make money in. I mean, I keep telling people, who talk about green jobs. Well, we're never going to have green jobs until companies can profitably do things and until people can get a good salary doing them. I mean, if I'm working up at the oil fields in North Dakota, where it's booming, am I going to quit that to go work on a windmill for half the money? No, nobody in their right mind is going to do that. And think about it. How did we get coal and oil? Did we get it because the government complicated the tax code? Did we get it because the green steps were being pushed on all our cities? No, we got it from entrepreneurs who found a product, created one, marketed one, sold one, transported one. That's how we got that. Why is it that we constantly go away from those principles when it comes to energy?
I don't know. And how long is it going to be until Santa Claus stops putting coal in bad kids' stockings and starts putting CFL bulbs?
I'm afraid to check my stocking then.
Yeah, watch out for the mercury poisoning.
Yeah.
Can I give an example? Is that they're sticking their nose in solid waste reduction, which at least in your city, you guys still can contract with the private contractor of your choice. Is that correct?
Yes.
And in my city, it's been taken over by the government, and they do a really, not as good job as when I used to be able to hire my own contractors. And also, they're promoting reuse and recycling, but yet they don't take half of the recyclable materials that are out there. That has the recycle symbol on it. You put it in the recycle bin, they take it out and throw it back in your yard. Okay, so, and then also, what's going on in North Dakota is free enterprise. They've discovered means of energy up there, and now the government wants to stick their nose in there and ban it. You know what I'm talking about?